Hi, I'm Bill Riden from Penn State Pesticide Education Program. Today we want to talk about the quality of water that you're putting in your spray tank and how that could affect the effectiveness of your pesticides. This aquarium is going to illustrate our water tank. We've put in tap water and it appears to be clean. It's definitely suitable for drinking, but what will it do with the pesticides that you put in here? The one element we have not checked up to this point is the pH of that water. And we know that pH can drastically affect the performance of that pesticide. Oftentimes we go out there and we make a pesticide application and perhaps the results are not what you thought they should be. Have you ever looked back and said, well, maybe it was the quality of the water that I put in that tank? After all, about 95% of this tank is going to be water and very little pesticide. If the pH is off, you could decrease the absorption of that pesticide by the pest, whether it's a weed or an insect. The other thing is you could deactivate the pesticide by what's called alkaline hydrolysis, where the pesticide is actually broken down in the spray tank because the pH is not right. So there's lots of things, but we tend to blame other factors when we see pesticide non-performance. We never look back at the pH and what we've initially started in that spray tank. So we're going to take a look today at, okay, how do you measure that pH? And there's several different ways. What is pH? pH is really a measurement of the hydrogen ions in that solution or in that water. Obviously, if it's neutral, pure water would have a pH of 7, right at neutral. If it's acidic, a lower number, it means that there's more hydrogen ions in that solution. Alkaline above 7 means that there's less hydrogen ions and it's on the alkaline side. So how do we test the water? There's actually several ways. One would be using litmus paper that we see here. This is commonly used in the swimming pool industry, and you simply tear off a piece and you would dip it in the water and wait till it changes color. After it's been in there a period of time, you pull it out and check the color based on the comparison chart that comes with the litmus paper. In this case, you can see it's yellow, so the pH is right around 6.5 to 7, right around neutral. We're going to take the litmus paper, tear another piece off, and we're going to check it this time in the ammonia. And as you can see, the ammonia is very alkaline and it will change to a deep purple color. So we know that the pH is between 11 and 12. Again, very alkaline material. Another way to check the pH is the use of a Latronic test meter. This is probably the most convenient, most accurate way to test the pH. We turn the meter on and then we can dip it into the water, hold it there until the pH reading stabilizes, and we pull it out, and again we see the pH is about 6.5. Same thing if we would use that with the ammonia. We stick it in here and give it a chance to read and pull it out. And again, our reading is 11.7 pH, a very alkaline pH. Now we're going to take the litmus paper and check a very acidic material. We've put common vinegar in this container, and let's see what happens with vinegar. We're going to take the litmus paper, dip it in the vinegar, and let it change colors. And you can see that it turns to a bright red. We are very acidic with that material. And again, we would compare it to the chart that comes with the litmus paper as to what that pH is. We can also use the test meter. The same thing, we turn the test meter on and dip it in the vinegar and hold it there until the reading is done. And again, check the meter, and we're right around 3.5 pH, a very acidic pH. We've tested our water using various methods: the litmus paper, test meter, and of course the third method would be to send it out to a commercial lab. But why is pH important to us when we're going to add pesticides to this water? Well, actually a couple things can happen. It can actually deactivate the pesticide in the water if the pH is not suitable. Most of our pesticides, not all, but most of our pesticides prefer an acidic pH. That is less than 7. 6 to 6.5 would be ideal in most cases. So what can happen if it's on the alkaline side or a very high pH? We can actually run into what's called alkaline hydrolysis, where the alkalinity actually causes the pesticide to start breaking down. We refer to a pesticide, its half-life, as how long will that product last until it's broken down to where you have half the remaining active product. Let's say the half-life is 1 day. If you go to alkaline pH, perhaps the half-life is 1 hour, which means if you put the pesticide in your water at 10 a.m. this morning, by 11 o'clock, half that pesticide is now deactivated into a different form that's not active as a pesticide. 1 hour after that, you have another 50% of that material deactivated. So by 12 noon, you would be down to 25% of the pesticide that you put in that tank. That's not going to be a very effective pesticide application at that point. So a couple of things to keep in mind is that the pH is very important, and most of our pesticides do prefer an acidic pH below 6 or below 7.0 on the acidic side. So how do we change a pH if we need to? Well, there are actually several water conditioners on the market specifically made to use with pesticides. If your pH is too high on the alkaline side and you need to make it lower, you need a water acidifier. And obviously vice versa if you need to go from acidic to an alkaline situation. But in most cases here in Pennsylvania, we see the water being too alkaline and we need to add a water acidifier to lower that pH. And we'll demonstrate that next with our tank of water. Now with any pesticide or any adjuvants or acidifiers that you may use, please read the label and make sure you are following label directions. We've determined that our water in our spray tank is very alkaline. So we want to make it more acid and we're going to add a water acidifier. Now before using any chemicals or pesticide, make sure you have the proper personal protective equipment on. In this case I've added gloves. And what we've done is we've pre-measured the water acidifier based on the label directions. And we're going to add this to the tank, and what's going to happen is it will acidify the water. Now don't assume that it's going to change color or appearance. It's going to simply change the pH. So now if we go back and we check, take the litmus paper, we can recheck the pH and see what the reading's going to be now. We dip that in and you're going to see that it's turning very yellow, very acidic based on the litmus paper. We can do the same thing with our electronic meter. Turn the meter on and dip it in the water, let it have a chance to take the reading, and then we can read the digital display. And in this case, we dropped the pH down to 3.6. So we've actually acidified the water to a great degree. And again, as with any directions, make sure you understand the products, read the directions, whether it's the pesticide or the water conditioner that you're putting in the water. Before you add pesticides, that's the time to add your water conditioner. You want to condition the water before you put your pesticide in. So if it needs an acidic pH, that pH already exists by the time the pesticide hits the water. Let's summarize what we learned today about pH and how it can affect the pesticide that you put in your spray tank. As we illustrated with this aquarium, the water may appear to be clean and safe to drink, but do you really know the pH or the quality of that water? pH can have a profound effect on the performance of that pesticide. And remember, a slight change in pH can be a large change in the measurement of those hydrogen ions that we're trying to read. A change from 6 to 7 in pH is actually a 10-fold change in the pH. So a couple things to remember is, first of all, know your pesticide. Read the label and understand that pesticide product. Oftentimes it will tell you whether an acidic or an alkaline pH is required for that product. But if it doesn't, most cases pesticides prefer an acidic pH. That is between 6 and 7. Second of all, understand the pH of your water. Have it tested or test it yourself. Do you know the pH of that water? Don't assume that because you drink that water coming out of the spigot that it's safe for your pesticides. It's two different things. A very alkaline pH could cause alkaline hydrolysis of that pesticide, where you're actually losing the pesticide in the tank even before you spray it. So understand the pH of that water that you're putting into that tank. Number 3 is, if you do need to use a commercial buffering agent or acidifier, read the directions on how to use that product and make sure you're using the right rate for the amount of water that's in your spray tank. It's very important that you follow directions, not only on your pesticide, but also on that soil or that water acidifier that you put in your tank. So hopefully that'll help you get better performance on your pesticides by knowing the quality of water that you're using. Thank you for watching today. If you need more information, please check our website. And again, if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.